had eczema as a kid and severely in my 20s. And I don't know if it's because of my specialty, but more than any other skin concern, I see a large number of Filipinos seeing me for eczema. And because of all of that, I recently asked myself, are Filipino Americans more likely to get eczema? And I was shocked by what I learned. Dr. Brian Esqueo here, California licensed naturopathic doctor and first generation Filipino American here in LA. Since it's Filipino American History Month and Eczema Awareness Month, let's do a deep dive on eczema and holistic eczema tips for Filipino Americans. I was surprised when I read this article. Out of 5,912 patients, eczema was more prevalent in Filipino Americans at 8.5%. And this 2019 study found that Filipinos had the highest risk of eczema compared to other Asian American groups. After learning that, I asked myself, why do Filipino Americans have a higher risk and a higher rate of eczema? Let's chat a bit more. Much like when I started medical school more than a decade ago, there's still a lot that we have to learn about eczema. As according to literature, the exact cause of eczema is not entirely understood, but it seems that eczema could be caused by a combination of factors like genetics and the environment, and that eczema is also related to allergy-related issues like asthma and allergic rhinitis, also known as hay fever. And that's where it gets interesting. When speaking about eczema and allergy-related issues, we're really talking about immune function. Now, when we go back to this 2019 article, not only did scientists find that Filipinos were at a higher risk for eczema, but they also found that Filipinos had the highest odds for asthma and food allergy compared to other Asian American groups. So what's going on here? Well, researchers suggest that eczema is the first manifestation of allergy disease, and then asthma and hay fever follow. And scientists suggest that there are several immune-related genes that influence immune function in eczema. Now, to explain the link between food allergy and eczema, there's something interesting spoken about in this article. It's called the Dual Allergen Exposure Hypothesis. This hypothesis speculates that allergies develop because allergens travel through the skin when the skin barrier is disrupted, like in eczema. And once that allergen goes through the skin, it triggers an immune response. Isn't that interesting? So it seems like that there's a genetic component behind immune response and eczema and allergy-related issues. But it seems that having an intact skin barrier is also crucial. So let's talk about the skin barrier. Now, when speaking about eczema and the skin barrier, there are three things we need to talk about: genetics, the gut, and topicals. First, there are genes that influence the skin barrier. According to this article, filaggrin is a key protein that maintains skin barrier function, and mutations in that gene have been linked to eczema, and that might increase susceptibility to environmental irritants and allergens. So, do Filipinos have higher rates of filaggrin gene mutations? Honestly, there is no science about that yet, but hopefully some research about it is completed in the future, just because there are so many Filipinos who experience eczema. Now, while there are genes that affect filaggrin and eczema, this article interestingly speaks about how amino acids, specifically L-histidine, may support filaggrin for the skin barrier. Second, the gut may influence the skin barrier. According to this paper, gut-made short-chain fatty acids may predict eczema. And this article suggests that short-chain fatty acids may promote skin barrier integrity in animal models. Now, to get short-chain fatty acids, we need the right bacteria and we need fiber. And that's because scientists suggest that the right bacteria digest the fiber that we eat to make short-chain fatty acids. So let's talk about how we promote the right bacteria and talk about fiber sources that Filipino Americans may recognize. Foods that promote short-chain fatty acid producing bacteria include green tea and berries. Literature also suggests that eating 30 or more edible plants promotes the levels of short-chain fatty acid producing bacteria. Now, when looking at edible plant consumption in Filipino Americans, such as fruits and vegetables, this study completed in the Philadelphia region showed that 99.5% of Filipino Americans did not reach the recommended 45 servings a day. And this study completed in Vegas showed that Filipino Americans had low consumption of fruits and vegetables. So for many Filipino Americans, looking at diet is going to be key to supporting the skin barrier. So let's talk about some high fiber foods that Filipino Americans might recognize. Here's a list of 16 high fiber Filipino foods. I'll step out of frame so you can take a screenshot. Okay, third and lastly, we cannot forget about the importance of topical skin barrier support. According to the Cochrane Skin Group, moisturizers are key to reducing number of flares and are key to reducing the amount of topical medications needed, like corticosteroids. They also found that topical medications were more effective at improving eczema when used with a moisturizer. And lastly, when washing skin, water temperature is really important to take note of. According to this study, prolonged skin exposure to hot water could potentially lead to drier skin compared to cold water. So with topical skin barrier support, it's going to be looking at moisturizers and being mindful of your water temperature. Okay, I know that was a lot, but you can find a summary of what we spoke about in the caption below with references.